April 20th, 1999, 11:17 a.m. In a quiet Colorado suburb, 487 students were sitting in a cafeteria, eating lunch, laughing, talking about prom, talking about summer. They were 17 years old. They were safe.
They were safe. Until two of their own classmates decided they weren't.
In exactly 2 minutes, two of their classmates would try to kill every single one of them. 12 students, one teacher, murdered, 24 more wounded. In 49 minutes. By two of their own classmates, who had been planning it for over a year.
They planned this carefully, coldly, for over a year. They came to school that morning, smiled at their friends, and then they started killing.
This is the case that changed America forever.
Welcome to The Last Mile. I'm Detective Graves. And this case is not closed yet.
Littleton, Colorado, 1999. One of the safest suburbs in America. Tree-lined streets, good schools, good families.
The kind of place where parents never thought twice about sending their kids to school.
Columbine High School had 2,000 students, a championship football team, a theater program, a library, a cafeteria that buzzed with noise every single lunch period. It was, by every measure, a normal American high school.
Normal. That word. That is exactly how warning signs get buried. Because when everything looks normal, nobody looks closer.
Nobody saw it coming, or more accurately, nobody wanted to see what was already there.
The danger was never outside Columbine. It had been living inside those hallways for 2 full years.
Eric Harris, 18 years old, born in Wichita, Kansas. Charming, articulate, funny. Neighbors described him as polite and well-mannered.
On the surface, underneath something else entirely.
Eric Harris kept a private journal. In its pages, he wrote with clinical precision about his hatred for humanity. He ranked people. He described in chilling detail what he wanted to do to those he despised.
Psychologists who studied his writings described him as a clinical psychopath. He could smile at you and feel absolutely nothing.
Dylan Klebold, 17 years old, quiet, deeply sensitive. He struggled with depression his entire life. He wrote in his journal about feeling invisible, about wanting to belong.
Where Eric Harris burned with rage, Dylan Klebold drowned in pain. Two broken boys who found each other, and together became something far more dangerous than either could have been alone.
By 1997, 2 full years before the massacre, they had already begun to plan. Not a vague fantasy, a real detailed plan.
His original plan called for bombs in the cafeteria during peak lunch hour, capable of killing 500 students in a single explosion.
Eric Harris had also written about hijacking planes and crashing them into buildings in New York City 4 years before September 11th.
500 people. That was the goal, not 13. 500. What happened at Columbine was not the worst-case scenario. It was the failure of their worst-case scenario. Remember that.
The warning signs were not subtle. They were not hidden. They were everywhere. And one by one, every single one of them was ignored.
Every single one.
In 1998, a full year before the massacre, Eric Harris had a publicly accessible website. On that website, he posted death threats against specific classmates by name.
A parent found it, reported it directly to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. It was never filed. It sat in a drawer. Nobody followed up.
Harris and Klebold were also arrested in 1998 for breaking into a van. They were placed in a juvenile diversion program. Their probation officers submitted glowing reports.
Eric Harris was building pipe bombs in his bedroom while writing those reports.
In their English class, both boys submitted essays that should have triggered immediate concern. Graphic narratives about men hunting and killing strangers. A teacher was alarmed enough to contact Dylan's parents.
The conversation ended there. Nobody filed a report. Nobody told the school counselor.
In the months before April 20th, they filmed themselves in the woods with illegal weapons, talking about what they were going to do. They left those videos in Eric's bedroom, in plain sight.
These were not breadcrumbs. These were flares. Bright red burning flares. And everyone whose job it was to pick them up, set them down, and walked away. This could have been stopped. That is not a theory. That is documented fact.
April 20th, 1999. A Tuesday. The morning was bright and clear. Eric Harris woke early. He wrote his final journal entry, "Today is the day. After this it will be worth it." He closed the journal. He ate breakfast. He went to school.
He ate breakfast. He went to school.
At 11:10 a.m., Harris and Klebold walked through the cafeteria carrying large black duffel bags. Students barely noticed. Inside, 2 propane bombs set to kill 480 students at 11:17 a.m.
11:17 a.m. came. The cafeteria hummed with noise. Students laughed and ate. The bombs failed. And they went forward anyway.
At 11:19 a.m., Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold walked toward the school with their guns. Rachel Scott, 17 years old, the first to die, shot outside near the entrance while eating lunch with a friend.
Rachel Scott. Remember her name.
At 11:22 a.m. they entered the building. For the next 45 minutes, Columbine High School became a war zone. Students hid under desks, in closets, in bathrooms, in supply rooms, barely breathing.
Outside police arrived within minutes. But the protocol of that era said wait. Establish a perimeter. Do not enter.
Dozens of officers stood outside while students bled to death inside.
There is a teacher named Dave Saunders. When the shooting started, he ran toward it, not away toward it. He saved dozens of lives.
Dave Sanders was shot twice in the chest. Students dragged him into a science classroom. They held a sign in the window, "One bleeding to death."
Help didn't come. For 3 hours, students held that man's hand while he died on a classroom floor. He was 54 years old. He ran toward the gunfire so his students could run away from it. Remember his name. Dave Sanders.
The library. This is where it was worst.
52 students, hiding under tables. When those doors opened,
Harris and Klebold entered the library at 11:29 a.m. A librarian had already called 911. The dispatcher could hear everything. They walked slowly between the tables. They were not rushing. They were not panicking.
they were calm, walking between tables of hiding children, and they were calm.
They taunted students. They asked questions. They made jokes.
They laughed.
10 students were murdered in that library in 7.5 minutes.
Cassie Bernal, Isaiah Schulz, Daniel Mauser, Stephen Kuno, Corey DePuter, Matthew Kechter, Kellyanne Fleming, Lauren Townsend, John Tomlin, Kyle Velasquez.
10 names. 10 people who went to the library that morning and never left.
I have spent my life studying the worst of what human beings do to each other. And this, the laughter that is the moment that never leaves. That sound, that is why we are still talking about this. 25 years later, that sound is why we will never forget.
In the darkest moments of that day, there were people who chose to stand up.
People always focus on the killers. I understand why. But I want to be clear about something.
Patrick Ireland was shot twice in the head inside the library. He lost consciousness. When he came to, he crawled across the floor toward a window. SWAT officers outside caught him as he fell.
Shot in the head. And he still crawled to that window.
He relearned how to walk. He graduated high school. He graduated college. He became an advocate for others with brain injuries.
That is what survival looks like.
Students all over the school barricaded doors, helped wounded classmates move to safety, stayed with people who were hurt when every instinct said run.
On April 20th, 1999, inside Columbine High School, there were hundreds of acts of extraordinary courage. Evil made headlines that day, but courage filled those hallways. Do not forget that
at 12:08 p.m. it was over. Harris and Klebold took their own lives in the library.
13 dead, 24 injured. A generation changed forever.
In the aftermath, politicians blamed video games, music, the internet, trench coats. A wave of suspicion fell over quiet, strange teenagers across America.
They blamed everything except the one thing that actually mattered. The warning signs that were ignored.
Columbine changed school security forever. Metal detectors, active shooter drills, lockdown protocols. A generation of children grew up practicing for a scenario they could barely understand.
And still, it kept happening. Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, Parkland, Uvalde. Each one asking the same question. Columbine first asked in 1999.
The suppressed search warrant, the one written in 1998 and never filed, was released years later. Proof that law enforcement had enough to potentially prevent this. And did nothing.
13 names. Say them. Rachel Scott, Daniel Rorbo, Dave Sanders, Kyle Velasquez, Stephen Kerno, Cassie Bernal, Isaiah Schulz, Matthew Kechter, Lauren Townsend, John Tomlin, Kelly Ann Fleming, Daniel Mouser.
DePuter.
13 people who went to school on a Tuesday morning in April and never came home.
Columbine did not happen because of music or movies. It happened because a child in agony reached out through a website, through journals, through essays, and every hand he reached toward pulled back.
The next case is already out there. The signs are already there. The question is, this time, do we look?
Columbine High School was demolished in 2014. A new building was constructed. The library where 10 people died was converted into an atrium filled with light. But the memory does not demolish. The names do not rebuild. You have just walked the last mile with Detective Graves. Subscribe to the Last Mile documentary, because next time we open another file.
Case closed. The Last Mile documentary. Subscribe if you seek the truth.